Hello, Sonoma County residents. I'm Susan Gorin, Chair of the the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors, and I want to welcome you today and thank you for participating in the interview, part of my job, 5 Questions with Susan. And I'm so pleased that we have with us today Fernando Torres, who is a community worker for California Rural Legal Assistance. Fernando, thank you so much for joining us today. The County of Sonoma is very grateful for all of the local community organizations, which are certainly going the extra mile to help our community in these difficult times, and we can't thank you enough. You were telling us that you arrived in Santa Rosa or Sonoma County just before the October 17 fires, and here we are again in the middle of the fires at the beginning of fire season. So before we start with the other 5 questions, can you help us understand a little bit what your role is in an emergency, whether it's the pandemic that we're experiencing or whether it's the fires that have now broken up in Sonoma County?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Gorin, for your kind invitation and for the opportunity really to share information with our community members. It's not just us. We, along with many other agencies and nonprofits in the area, continue to try to serve our community members and provide them with not just information, but tools to hopefully assist them during this and many others, as you mentioned, previous occasions and difficult times. We're blessed that we're in an area with multiple agencies that help the public, especially those who are low income, low asset, which is who we assist. And since the fires, we have assisted the community members in, again, not just knowing their rights when it comes to their employment rights. We also assist farm workers with the needs when they just don't know what to do, or they don't know where to head, or maybe they're getting misinformation perhaps, and they don't know what they're entitled to receive during these emergencies. We have tabled at many events during these unfortunate issues, and we have been supporting the community. When we had the big fires in 2017, we actively provided free workshops for anyone really. We have certain requirements in our day-to-day, but we waived all that for the fires, and we assisted many individuals with what to do, just information of where to get more information, how to start the process of dealing with a burned home, uh, um, how to start applying for things, what to tell their insurance company, if they have issues with that insurance company, what they should do. So we again collaborate with others. It wasn't just CRLA. We brought in people from the outside too in our office, and we set up workshops and different things to assist. So that's kind of the gist of what we do. We're a nonprofit that assists folks with free legal aid in Sonoma County, and we have offices all over California, from here to the Mexican border. Closest office to us here in Santa Rosa is the Santa Rosa office at 1160 North Dalton Avenue. And we're working remotely, but still assisting individuals just like you and I through the magic of Zoom and phone calls, and continue to empower those individuals so that they know that there are things out there that they can use, that there are other agencies, not just us. We do a lot of referrals. We believe that it's not just about us, but we need to collaborate with those who specialize in different matters. So we make those links, we make those connections, we make sure those folks know what to do, and just give them a little hand in their time of need. Regardless of what the phone call is about, we always try, even though if it's not a legal matter, we try to assist them in guiding them to the right source.
Thank you for all that you do. So let's talk a little bit more in depth about the role that organizations such as CRLA are playing during this pandemic. And we know that communications may be difficult because not everyone has access to Wi-Fi or Zoom capability. So how are you helping the community right now? And specifically, what's the best form of communication for you to get the information out to the folks who need your help?
It really varies. I always say every case is unique, and I couldn't put it in specific terms, but it really depends on the necessity. We have folks that call us, say, farm workers who speak a foreign language or an indigenous language, and that's all they speak. So we make sure that that individual gets the right tools, that someone that speaks their language explains those to them, guides them through any process that they may require. Technology-wise, yes, we are relying on as much as we have to on telephone calls, Zoom, just like you and I this morning. But we're also doing some outreach, and by virtue of again working with those other agencies, letting them know that we are active, sharing our resources with those agencies, especially in areas where we know there's concentration of the folks that customarily call our office, low-income individuals, low asset, farm workers, folks who usually are not easy to find. So we train those individuals per se on what we do. We do things like this today so that people know that we exist, that we're one phone call away. Um, there are no one-on-one visits at the present time, but we really have found out that we can do most everything in this manner. We can communicate with folks. We text folks information, forms, for those who are a little more techy than your average customer per se. But if we need to, we deliver those forms. We mail them. We do anything that we can so that individual feels again empowered and that they know what to do, what steps to take, and how we can assist with that need, whichever that may be.
We are about to enter into month 7 of the COVID pandemic. Can you tell us specifically how Latinx and Indigenous families are being affected by the ongoing crisis, and how are you supporting them?
Yeah, that's really a great question. At the same time, it's a very sad reality for those Latinx, Hispanic, agricultural worker, indigenous community that I just mentioned, because they have disproportionately been affected by this crisis.
Yes.
There's many factors there. Just the fact of being an essential worker puts folks in the front lines. Their living conditions, especially for those on low pay work, folks who may be living in subpar living conditions, overcrowded conditions, not knowing or employers denying their sick pay leave that they may be entitled to, their lack of income due to loss of employment. Since COVID arrived, the lack of access to health care, um, just not knowing what to do when you have COVID. Do I have coverage? Is there any immigration concerns if I do go to that visit? So there's multiple items, multiple issues that these folks must first process before they're able to reach that help, to get to that help. So that's what I was referring to, that it's not always to get to them, and it's quite difficult, and we try what we do to do that. There's mistreatment, abuse. These are things that are not new, but continue to be an issue for them, and it kind of flourished during COVID-19 as well. In response to this, we continue to assist folks in the areas I mentioned. Um, Besides employment and housing, we assist individuals at the office with many different issues, including fair housing, fair employment. This means protection against discrimination at work or in any scenario, really, for those who are part of the protected classes, being disabled individuals, being a multitude of folks who have certain protections under the law, and we try to explain to them what those are so that they again can empower themselves and let us know if we can be of any assistance. We do help with labor and employment issues, wage and hour issues, discrimination, sexual harassment at the workplace, leaves of absence, which is quite popular nowadays during COVID-19, and many, many other things. So we also nowadays, since the fires really, with wrongful evictions, tenant defense, which of course is a very hot topic right now. Um, it continues to be the top issue really since I joined CRLA in 2017 during fire season and ever since. Uh, Besides eviction defense, we try to assist folks with knowing their general tenant rights, their right to a clean and habitable unit without issues, or issues related to the return of the security deposit, among other issues with housing. So, best recommendation there will be to give us a call. Give a call to our office. That's 707-528-9941, and we will try to do as much as we can to, at minimum, inform you about your rights, and if we can, again, lend the extra hand so that we can defend you, so that we can try to protect that housing, employment, discrimination issue that you're calling us about.
You just about answered our next question, which is we understand that so many people are working fewer hours or not being able to work at all. So they're concerned about paying for the groceries to feed their families and being able to make the rental payments every month. As you know, the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors adopted an eviction defense ordinance in June to prevent those residents impacted by COVID-19 from unfair evictions. And we are waiting for the state to take action before we bring this issue back to the board. But our eviction defense ordinance still stands. It did not expire at the end of August. And so people are nervous about the evictions happening, but I want to assure everybody that we will take this issue up again. And you talked a little bit about the information that you provide to your clients so they can get the information and the assistance if they find themselves in a situation like this. Do you want to add to what you just said previously?
Yeah, but by all means, and I think it's very important for tenants to know their rights at this point, to know which legal defenses they may have access to if a landlord provides them with an eviction notice. Uh, they need to know and become familiar with the process of eviction itself. Just like you mentioned, we get a lot of calls about this. And I'll give you an example, generic example, of a person who may call me and say, hey, my landlord wished for me to be out on Sunday. I didn't get a letter, didn't get a notice. He just wants me out. And they have complete not knowledge of what their rights are. So we educate them and we let them know what they are. I think folks need to know that the process of eviction is not a short process. If
No.
one knows her rights and it provides the tenant with the rights to defend themselves and sometimes challenge those evictions, one of those protections you mentioned that remain are the Sonoma County Ordinance, which does not forgive your rent, and that is another misconception that I get all the time. It allows you to not pay your landlord, and it defers that payment up to 60 days after the emergency is declared over. And as Chair mentioned, it's something that is in progress, being reviewed and may be modified. But it prevents, again, if you meet the criteria of that ordinance, a protection against that eviction. And we have provided and continue to provide information about the ordinance since March, including videos in multiple languages, including indigenous languages, so that folks know what that is about. We have templates that we provide folks so that they can provide to that landlord. Mind you, we understand completely landlords must live and get that income too, but we urge folks to work with each other at this point. Um, it's possibly more beneficial to a landlord to get into that conversation with your tenant so that he or she can eventually pay you what they owe you rather than evict a person and not really get a dime that way, and maybe perhaps rent it to someone else. But again, that's what we try to do. We try to educate folks about what their rights are, what their best option may be at the time, and the ordinance at the present time, as you clearly state, has not ended. Another misconception. People say, oh yeah, that was in March, April. It's no longer the case. here's your eviction notice, which again, I need to be generic. Every scenario is different. I would urge people to call us with their specific, what was said, when was it given, show us a copy of what was provided to you, so that we can give you an informed opinion of what your best course scenario may be, and perhaps what the correct legal advice may be, which I do not provide directly. I'm not an attorney, but we have a team of attorneys, again, throughout California that can answer those questions and give you specific information on what your rights are. And the reality right now, as of today, is that evictions are not taking place. There may be changes in the near future, but I always like to tell folks I can only tell you what it is today. And today there are protections at county level, as Cher mentioned, and we'll love to talk to you about how that applies to you, if it's applicable to you, if it's not, what is your reality, what steps you need to take in preparation to that prospective eviction.
And thank you for the information that you are providing. And you're right, many people do not know that our eviction defense ordinance still applies. It has not expired. So, but I wish we had a printing press and could provide free rent for the next year for folks. Sadly, like many other governments, we are in a recession and don't have the ability to provide much rental assistance, but we are working on trying to cobble together a variety of sources of funds that we could use for rental assistance in the future and in the next couple of months. Pay attention. So you mentioned that about sick pay. We know that if anybody has contracted COVID, we absolutely do not want them going to work and potentially transmitting that to other folks. And they need to quarantine, if at all possible, while at home, again, to prevent transmission. And we also know that people may need help out there to cover some absences from work. The Board of Supervisors just passed or just adopted the sick leave pay. So, and that would apply to many folks in this environment, in this county. What should folks know about sick leave?
Yes, what folks need to know at the present time is if you're affected by COVID, whether you were asked to stop working because lack of available work, or because you or special someone became ill, because perhaps you are not ill but you have been asked to quarantine for a couple of weeks, which is happening a lot in the county. Among other scenarios, you need to know that there may be a way to still draw some income from, first off, established programs that you are possibly very familiar with, such as unemployment, SDI, and others. But there's also, and since COVID and due to COVID, there are new ways in which you may be able to ask your employer to provide you with paid sick time, which should be paid prior to any other accrued time that you may have, such as sick time or vacation. So what you need to know is that if you become ill with COVID, or as I mentioned before, if you're affected in a way that prevents you from going to work, that there are processes where the state requires that employer, and again, as Cher mentioned, some additional protections, or say loophole protections that have been added, both not just in county but in the city of Santa Rosa and other localities, where you may request your employer to pay you for that time off. And that could range anywhere from 3 days to 80 hours of paid leave. In some cases, that you're entitled to sick pay. And again, if you need to take care of a dependent, I know the subject has come up with the elderly, which is rapidly affected by COVID-19. You may need to take care of that parent or elder individual at home. Maybe a child who's out of school again due to COVID, and you have no access to other childcare in your present situation. So that you need to know that there may be something out there, and I need to be generic because every case is different. What I wanted to do, and I will attempt to while I continue explaining this, I wanted to share just a quick flyer, if I may. But I cannot. I'm not a host, so I will not. But we actually created Workers' Rights Helpline at CRLA. And what that does, it serves low-income individuals in the areas that would service, so not just Sonoma County. And that number is 1-800-357-9513. Let me say it again, 800-357-9513. And what is it? It's a helpline. You call, it's completely free. Everything you tell us is confidential. And you can discuss your personal situation, whether it's what are my rights at work, how to get paid or unpaid, sometimes time off if you need it. Do I qualify for unemployment benefits? Do I qualify for SDI? How do I apply? What is the best way? Electronic, paper. I may be undocumented, and I want to know what my opportunities may be, even though I work and I do my best to feed my family. Is there any of this for me? And to many of those, the answer is yes. So I would highly suggest people just give us a call, again, 800-357-9513, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 p.m., to get specific answers to your questions. Templates in some cases where maybe that employer doesn't know about this change, or says that it's not for you, so that we can facilitate a form or a piece of paper that you can present to that employer just to remind them that it exists, and that they, uh, quite honestly, we all need to be healthy. We need to maintain our workforce healthy, and it just doesn't benefit that family, but also benefits that business in keeping their workforce healthy so that they can return to work and continue um, working together, so that your business will prosper.
I am so grateful for all of your information. If you go ahead and send me that flyer, we'll post it along with this recorded interview. So lastly, Sonoma County is known for responding to emergencies. During every emergency, we see examples of community and individuals coming together with kindness, with acts of kindness. And during this pandemic, this is an emergency unlike any others. So where have you seen people helping one another or supporting each other during this pandemic?
Yeah, it's very heartwarming. It's both sad, but it's also when it happens, it's very heartwarming. That's what I can say. And it might sound like a cliche, but I am a firm believer on that thing that everyone's saying now, that we are together in this, and I have seen that demonstrated time and time again among our community members who are actively helping each other in this time of need. Um, not just individuals, but all the agencies that are actively helping individuals right now to, again, keep them afloat, to keep them, to make sure they don't starve, and they know what to do in this difficult time. This rings true, very true, with Latinx, Hispanic, indigenous communities, where folks may not have much to share, but they do actively share among each other and for those who need it the most. I've seen not just agencies step up there, but individuals who volunteer their time to do the work that is required, to put groceries together, deliver those packets to the needy. Some folks are making sure that the elderly remain safe, and they do deliver food and other important items, sanitary items, during these times for those folks. The examples are many, 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 and that is what we need at this point, in my opinion. I hate to end on a mixed note, but times may get even harder for a lot of folks, and we need to continue doing what we can to help our neighbor, our friend, our family during these very difficult times. So do what you can, as little as you can. If you can do it, if you can afford it, this is the time to do it. Don't wait. As I mentioned, if you're a landlord, try to come to a mutual agreement with that benefits everyone. There is no gain by evicting that individual if he can otherwise pay you, if you give him a little time to do so. If you're an employer, please do become informed on what you must provide your employers at this time. Um, Make certain that those that work for you are also protected with the right protective equipment, and that they receive access to any sick pay that they may be legally available, legally entitled to, and give it to them right away. your business relies on those employees to remain safe for the better of your company. If you're a community member and you can donate, please donate to your local food bank. Buy someone who needs groceries, buy them a weekly worth of groceries. Pay someone's rent for a month if you can. Um, we have seen a lot of tragedy coming from Sonoma County in the last few years, and every time the quality of our people has shown that we care deeply for one another, regardless of your creed, of your skin color. We come together in times like this, and this is one of those times where I urge community members to do it just one more time. And this is such a time. This is one of those times where we need to again pull together and help one another. And it's not about me anymore. It's about us. So I hope people do that actively. And I do thank you, Chair Gorin, for your kind invitation today and allowing me to share some information with our community members.
Gracias, Fernando Torres, for all of your work at the California Rural Legal Assistance. Thank you to all of your staff as well for the incredible information and services you provide to many, many people in Sonoma County who are often underrepresented. And thanks to our residents for tuning in. For more information about COVID-19, please visit socoemergency.org or call our information hotline at 211 with information in English and Spanish and accessibility to other languages. See you next time.